So we're coming up, and this is the Twin Falls location of the Joann's. The signs have changed. Now it says up to 50% off. And there were just some people that went by that seemed to find a better deal at the Goodwill that was next door.
And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale.
Okay, I'm gonna go over. Pretty busy store here on the Saturday. So here's some garden area stuff, and it looks pretty picked over. And this is like the floral area. There's a lot of floral stuff. Right here it's showing floral styrofoam for, I guess, poking the plastic flowers into is only 10% off. Candles are $25. Looks like they have some leftover Christmas decorations. 20% off for a Christmas thing. That sounds kind of silly.
We give it a 500% markup, so we sell it at 50% off. Give the customer the illusion he's getting a deal, and we still make a bundle.
So all the candles are only 25% off. And then these little diamond dot kit type of things. So they're only 20% off. Looks like there's a pretty big amount of floral, fake floral stuff that came in. Let's see, they have some fleece packets there, I guess kits for making blankets. Okay, so it looks like the floral stuff is 40% off. Since I didn't check that out last week, I don't know if that's an increase or not. So that's one of those signs. So they have a different breakdown sign here than at my store. So they still have a pretty good amount of this stuff left. This looks like the food crafting, it's only 20%. And then the food decorating is only 10%. I don't think I've seen a breakdown sign for 10%, so that one's kind of new. And this is a paper crafting area. This looks like it's more of like the cricket crafting and then additional paper crafting. Paper crafting's 30% off. Maybe that's a little bit better of a deal. I thought I heard about that being more like 25 last week. Okay. So jewelry crafting supplies are 30% off. They do have one of those breakdown signs there. And they actually have a pretty good amount of all of the beads. So I'm guessing that that must mean that they need to bring the price down a little bit more to be attractive.
Sorry, no sale.
And then we got different things for shirts, like the iron-on for jackets. Tie-dye kits that I do not recommend because you should always buy your tie-dye powders online from a place like Dharma Trading. But they do have the blanks. The blanks are only 25% off. I know they used to do better deals than that on blanks. So the cutting counter was pretty busy, actually. Okay. So they have some sort of miscellaneous crafting at 30% off where it looks like it's glitter. A lot of kind of the kid crafts. So there seems to be a lot of it left, so I'm not very sure that that's a good deal, actually. It looks like all of this doll making and soap making is only 20% off. I'm guessing that hasn't changed. And different little wood kits. So the paints are only 20%. It looks like the oil painter is still going to be waiting a while. And then 10%, and that looks like things where it's like epoxies and stuff. Now this is pretty bare. So I'm guessing that 10% on that, people must have thought that was a pretty good idea for the different adhesives. Oh, and then here we go. The yarn aisle at the Twin Falls location is pretty much like more than decimated. I don't even know that they even have 10% left. And it's only 25%, so they didn't raise the discount on that. And here's another aisle of it. The same story. And then here we are in kind of like crochet area. Now there's tons of crochet hooks available. So I'm guessing that this might not be as attractive a deal. There's some of that chunky yarn down there that people do for different blankets, I guess. Looks like there's about a third left on this yarn, whatever it is. So let's see. Ah, that's why. It's because it's wool, so this might be a more expensive yarn. 25% off on notions there, so I think that was the same as last week. And then 20% on storage, I think that was the same. I don't think that's changed. I wouldn't be surprised if irons were only 10% last week. It says 10% currently. And then here's some more of the notions for 30% off. So lots of Velcro and elastic. and you know, some of the different things that would be like inserts. And actually, I kind of want to look at the prices of these irons.
We have a winner!
Alright, so this Aliso iron is actually a pretty good deal. I have kind of fuzzy footage, so it's hard for me to compare the other irons, so you will have to kind of check this yourself. But on Amazon, this Aliso is list price $218, and their sale price is $200. At Joann's, their list price is $200, their sale price is $180, with that 10% off. So, if you are in the vicinity of Twin Falls, or if they happen to have one of these irons, then you could get one of these irons that all of the quilters on PBS shows are using. And then you can be cool like them. Okay, so buttons are kind of looking like there's still a pretty good amount. Yeah, here's the buttons here. I mean, it looks like most of the buttons are still there. They're 25% off, so I'm guessing they started at that. Oh, wow. Okay. Here's another one where there is nothing left. So they had the ribbon at a 40% off, and I'm not seeing any ribbon anywhere. There's some ribbon here. So 40% off, and then there was some ribbon that was 60% off. And look, the lonely ribbon that's left is the Joann color of green. That's pretty funny, actually. And then these are kind of storage things, sewing baskets for people's tools. Oh, okay. So we do have like a whole bunch of ribbon, but it's all just kind of scattered. It's just going to be something where people have to dig through it. But the main area that's all organized, that is just completely gone. Okay, so here's the batting area. It's completely gone. The reason why I didn't show it last week in Pokey was it was pretty much gone before the liquidations even started. So looks like they have more blanket kits here. So now they're saying fleece and flannel at this location is 40% off. When I was in my location on Thursday, it was only 30% off. Or no, actually, I think it did increase to 40. So they do have some pillows. They actually have pillows at this location. They're only 20% off, so I don't know how fast those are going to move. And then they have like curtain rods here. I don't really remember curtain rods being a thing in Joann's. Okay, so the home decor fabric, it's still saying it's 3-yard minimum, 30% off. I think that was the same. So this is like the clearance area of the fabrics. Now, when I bought my clearance fabric on Thursday, they did not have an additional discount on that. So the sticker that was on there was the amount that actually is. Okay, so they actually have some cutting mats still here. The cutting mats are completely gone in the store that I go to. And then there's still a lot of zippers for 40% off. That's the same as last week. They still have a pretty good amount of like the blanket bindings and the bias tapes. And then lots of zippers on this side as well. And let's check out the thread. That should be close. Oh, okay, wow. So this side, like all of kind of the regular Coats and Clark is gone, and then basically specialties here. And then there's a lot of thread right here. And then they're looking kind of patchy on some of these specialty threads that are over here. I know Gutermann is one of those popular sorts of threads. They still have a pretty good amount of overlock thread though. So the fleece and flannel is 40. Okay, so fashion apparel is at 30 now. Now interesting, they're saying the netting and the tulle is only 25%. I thought that was supposed to be higher like the fashion apparel, but I guess not. And then a lot of this is chunky fleece, kind of a blanket sort of a fleece. All of this is listed at a 40% off. So here's a sign. One of the things I'm noticing is this store is a lot more chaotic looking. So this is a lot more reflective of some of the places that I've seen people reporting where things are just kind of flopped over. They still have tons and tons of flannel, but one of the things I'm noticing is they do not have any of the flannel solids. Now in the store that I go to, I asked them on Thursday, do you have any of the solids left? And they said they sold out of that last weekend. And then I guess there's a Happy Value fleece. So I guess that branding came in for that. So their ordinary price on fleece was $4. I didn't even see that brand at the store that I usually shop at. So 30% off of that, I guess, could be okay. I'm not sure about the quality. I can't really speak to that. Let's see. Ooh, felt. Felt is 40% off. I would be tempted to get some felt because I use it for things, and there's so much of it here, but I think I'm going to skip it. Oh, they even have a Happy Value felt for $4. Huh, that's different. And then we have the cotton fabric is just 20, and it is really starting to look picked over. This is a very different situation than the store that I've been going into as my local. And then more of kind of the blanket kits here. This is actually kind of a small store. It's smaller than the one that I'm used to, and I'm very surprised by that because this is a larger community. Okay, so the quilting notions are fairly picked over, but there is some stuff that's still available. So it is really starting to look like this has been hit by people really wanting to shop a going out of business type of a sale. Very different story than the store that's in my local area. That's pretty much all there was to see at that particular Joann's in Twin Falls. So like I said, it was kind of a small store. It looked pretty chaotic in there. And notable takeaways for this week as an update is that the fleece was 30% last week, now it's 40%. The apparel was 25% last week, now it's 30% off. And the patterns were 20% off last week, now they're 30% off. So still not as good on the patterns as whenever they would do those $1.99 pattern sales. Personally, I would still wait. And when I pulled open one of the drawers, it was still just absolutely filled with patterns, as you can see here. So for the sewing machines, there are a lot more sewing machines available in my local store. And so I want to kind of do a follow-up on that. But the little bit that they had there, what I could see is they had a Singer HD 4432, so HD is for heavy duty, and their full mark price was $300, and since it was a 10% sale, that meant it was marked down to $270. If you go onto Amazon for that, their full mark price is $230, and then their sale price right now that they're running is $210. And I'm finding when I put in examples of sewing machines and overlock machines and embroidery machines that they are still very overpriced compared to buying it elsewhere. Basically, on most of these things, I crunch the numbers, and you have to have like a minimum about 33 to 35% sale. Some of these things need to be more than a 50% sale just to equal what they're doing as a full list price on Amazon. So I'll go into that in a future video, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I want to promote a challenge that I'm doing. So here is an Ohio star. I'm doing that in, just because the company was founded in Ohio. And I'm doing it with all Joann sourced fabrics. And so I'm making up a whole bunch of stuff that's out of my stash. So I'm not going in and buying. I did buy a little bit of green just because I didn't have a lot of green prints. But for the most part, the majority of it is definitely going to be from my stash. And so my challenge is whatever your craft is, maybe you can consider doing the same thing. If you're into knitting, I bet you have a lot of yarn left. Maybe you can take some little ends and kind of put something together. If painting is your thing, maybe you can do some painting like the oil painter that I mentioned before in passing. If you're into cross stitch, maybe you make a sampler. Just the whole idea that brings us all together with enjoying this store was that we're all into crafts. So get creative.